Alright, the next part we're going to look at is the menu item and the menu list right now with it. So let's do the menu item for me, okay? So I'm going to close, we're finished with the about.js with it. Come and find the menu item for me. That's in your component, it's under your helpers. Here's your helpers, the menu list, and the menu item is this one right here for me, alright? Hold on a second. Alright, I'm going to start with the menu item JavaScript with it as well. So this is the takeaway message here is to dive into deep into how to write a function for this. So let's start out with some preprocessor files with it as well. So let me start up here on the top. We're just going to bring in we're going to import in the React from React, alright, and a semicolon after. That's the only one I'm going to bring. Oop, what happened here? Place my cursor up. That semicolon, hit enter for me. To write a function, we start with the word function, right? And then the name of the function in this case is the same name, same spelling, same capitalization as the name of the file with it. So this is going to be called what? Menu, uppercase. If you look up in the tab here, you see it's uppercase M, menu item with it. That's the name of the function with it, and you're going to make a left and right parentheses with it, so that signifies it's what? It is a function with it, and like anything with it, you start with left curly bracket and the right curly bracket open, and then you have to do a return with it, and you open up, technically, it's the left parentheses, and you hit enter, and you come down, and you do a semicolon, right? And then you come out to the other end of this, at the end of this, and I'm just going to write the basic skeleton of this is to export the default. The name of the function is what? And menu item. Alright, so the same name here with it. I left out the I here. It's uppercase here, right? So it's on the top, uppercase M and uppercase I for me. Make sure it's the same name, same spelling. It is case sensitive in this as well with it. So take a look at this. I'd like for you to look at this and make sure this is how you really actually write the basic skeleton for this at this time with it. Of course, the only squiggly line you should have is this little one on there in line 7 underneath the right parentheses there, because you don't have anything in return. That's why with it. So it's looking for something in return right now with it. This is the part I want to focus on. Is this part right here. So we call this, inside of this is equivalent to what's called parameter, an argument, okay? So one of the things is what you're passing inside of your argument and your parameter with it as well. So let me give you some analogy. I'm just going to do this as a block comment with it so it doesn't affect the code with it. So you all should be familiar with some sort of algebra expression. So remember when we went to school and things were called if function of x is equal to remember this function of x, and if it's equal to 2, I'm going to call it type 2 x. I'll make up some sort of silly function with this thing. Alright, so if I went in here at this time, function of x, if I replace x with 2, for example, right, I would come to the other end of this, and I would, everywhere there's an x, I would plug in that 2 in there with it, right? And I would subtract 3 from here, and this would equal to what? So 2 times 2 is 4, 4 minus 1 is, 4 minus 3 equals to 1, right? So this part right here is what's called as the argument, is what we call it, right? Or the x with it. In programming, we call this as the argument as well. We call this as the parameter or as well with it. But more important, I want you to know this is what's called the signature. All right, the signature it dictates what is different and unique and how you pass it across this. All right, and every program language is different, but every program language has to pass through some sort of argument or parameter with it as well. So in this function of menu item right here with it, it's the syntax for JavaScript, XML, okay, is called, you have to put curly brackets with it, and then you put in, I want to just put in a image, comma, name, comma, price. All right, so this part right here is what's called the signature, all right, or the parameter, or the uniqueness of it. All right, so what is menu item again? It's a name of a function name. Remember now, it belongs to an identifier, right? It's one of the three identifiers, constant, variables, and functions with it, right? So this particular function called menu item has a signature of image, name, and price. This is the order of the parameter. The order of the parameter. So when I call this function, when I pass it across, I have to pass it across with the same parameter. I have to pass across the image, the name, and the price. I want to pass across the image, the name, and the price with it. All right. So I just realized there's an import menu item here that came about here on the top here. Give me a second here. I don't know why that came in with it. I don't remember typing this menu item over here with it. That's very unusual. Okay, hang on. Let me comment that out. I don't know why. Here we go. Yeah. So so that's how that came about with it as well with it. All right. I thought I was seeing things. I was popping up and down. I don't know where that came from. I didn't type that. Anyways, inside of this, we have to pass across the content of it. The component is called div, and we're going to call class name. And inside that class name, I'm going to call this menu item. All right. And between it, I'm going to pass across, nested into another div tag with it. Remember that parameter of the style equal. And this is where we need to, let me do left, both of them at the same time with this. And we're going to do a background image. All right. Colon, single apostrophe, right? URL, left parentheses, with that syntax of a $sign and a curly bracket, image. This is what we're passing in with it. And then I'm going to close off this image with it, and then an apostrophe and a parentheses, I'm sorry, for closing off this set of with it. And then I'm an apostrophe, and it should have that completely looking like that. And I close that tag off, it should look like this. So take a second. I want to make sure you have the right syntax here, all right? Make sure you have exactly what I have here is the syntax that I have here is styles equal to this part right here. Just take a second. There's a lot of syntax here. Compare your screen with my screen with it, and make sure everything is pairing up properly with it like this, all right? Just take a second, because this is where it could go wrong. It will go wrong with this, all right? So make sure you have the syntax is what I have here with it, and read it from the inside out, how things are nested with it. So take it from this part on, and you should have closing, and click on the proper tags, and this is the closing tag of this one, and this curly bracket is paired up with this one. Make sure your right and your left pairs, and they're nested coming out of it, all right? So just take a second and do that one with it. Pause the screen if you need to. The second one we need to pass across is an H1 tag with it, and we're inside this H1. You pass across, again, the left curly bracket, we call this name. All right? So that's what that looks like. The name of the pizza. And then, of course, the P tag, we're going to give this a $sign, the price of the pizza with it, right? Make that $sign next to it. With it. It looks like this. And that closes that div, and you notice that little squiggly line underneath the right parentheses is gone now, and it has things to. Let me take this part. We don't need that. Okay. So that cleans it up with it. So this is the menu item JavaScript that I need for you to have it looking like this for me with it. I don't wait. What happened to my import reactor here? I don't know why that's there. I don't know why I didn't bring that in. I wonder why the menu item. Okay, let's just leave that there for a moment. That's very unusual. I didn't type that. That compiler is recognizing the menu item is one of the other ones that it's pulling it in with it. Let's just wait and see. All right, I want to make a note of that later on with it. Compiler. Okay. That's just a little mental note for me. I don't know why I pulled in the import. It's recognizing the menu item on here, and you notice how I hover over this. All right. So that's the basic syntax for that image name and price, and it automatically brings in I hover that name and it gives me the syntax of that with it. So, all right, so stop right here. Let's take a look at this, and I'm going to stop the video right here. All right. So pause the video and compare your screen with my screen for the menu item JavaScript.